growth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Play My Music. I'm your host, Mark Reddick, and we're about to kick off another show. Today, we have my special guest, good brother, Mr. Rick Troutman, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Let's welcome him. Yeah. It's a good brother, y'all. We're going to have an interesting show today. Rick, welcome. Welcome to Play My Music, and we're going to get right into it.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
We have a very steep and solid background. Tell us about yourself. How'd you get started musically?
I picked up my first guitar when I was 12 years old, back in the era of when the Beatles were out. My dad wanted me to play accordion. I don't know why. I took lessons for 2 years, and I remember the gentleman's name, and he told my mom 2 years later that I can't teach him anymore. And I don't know if he meant he was sick of me being there or I was that good. So I never did figure that one out. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to ask him either. Played, in bands my whole life. When I got old enough, I had made a big decision that I was going to do it when I was 18 or 20, 18 or 19, finished high school, and had an opportunity to meet with some great musicians. But my brother and my brother-in-law talked me into going to school, and that was where the avenue I took, and I went to corporate America. When I finished my corporate gig, I'd been in bands the whole time. I was still playing a lot. I decided to retire. I decided that, interesting about it, what happened was I had not been writing any songs for years because I just was in the mindset. I couldn't, I had too many other things on my mind, running businesses, and I wrote a song that was not, I thought, was one of the better songs I wrote. And I sent it to my bandmates, not knowing that they were, I didn't think they'd want to play it. It wasn't our style, but I just sent it to them and I said, "What do you think?" And the singer, who was also a trained engineer, he goes, "We need to record that song." And I went, "Really?" So we came into the rehearsal place and he brought his computer. And of course, I'd heard about digital recording at that time, but I thought it was way too expensive. And we recorded it. And then he got home and he said, "Man, we're all off. The beats per minute's wrong. We're not on timing, the click track's wrong. Come over and we'll fix it." So I'm sitting in front of him with my keyboard player and another guitar player, and he's got these two screens and he's doing this stuff, and I'm going like, "Dude, that's what I've been wanting to do my whole life." And I said, "Well, what do I have to make this happen?" Well, he says, "Rick, you got everything. You've got a microphone, you got all that stuff." He said, "You need an interface which turns the analog to digital, and you'll need a DAW, digital audio workstation." "Oh, those are expensive." He said, "No, you don't. They're free now."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh." So, like most people, I went to YouTube to figure out which one I wanted. Started getting it. Since I'd been in a studio before, I knew a lot about it. Then all of a sudden, Mark, it was like a faucet. I started writing songs. It just came out of me. I got to write these songs. And I learned about how to add different instruments to it. I always wanted, from the time that I was 19 or 20, because there was two artists that I enjoyed very much, Paul McCartney and Pete Townsend of The Who. They had come out with solo albums where they played on the instruments.
That's right.
And I said, I want to do that. And so that's what I started doing, writing songs and putting that stuff out. And then I had to learn how to distribute, get the music out. So I put my first album out real quick, and now I go back and go, "Man, that sound was terrible." The songs were pretty good, but the songs. So over the course of the last few years, I did three albums that had vocals in it. And I'm a blues guy. I was always a rock blues guy. Grew up. I don't have a Texas accent because I lived in the Midwest a long time before I moved back. But I was a blues guy, so a lot of stuff that I do has that kind of 4/4 time in it. Blah blah blah. And then one day I said, and I had a friend of mine one time. He said, I was listening to your album on a plane one day, and he says, "You sound like an old rocker." And I go, "That's because I I am an old rocker." So it's like, and I don't know. The whole thing changed for me a couple years ago when I was at a friend's house, and we were waiting for a movie to come on, and there was music playing on Pandora on his TV or something like that, and it was instrumental. And I went, "Oh, that's cool. I like that." And went home and listened to it on YouTube, and I went, "I bet you I could write stuff that's only instrumental." And that there was an album. So that album was called No Words because there was no words in it. And I started doing only instrumentals. And then I learned about sync licensing, where you could sell your music to people that do commercials, TV, which is a lot of people. And I have friends in the business and started writing more and more and more. My last album was just released, Horror Dreams. And now my next album is almost done.
Okay.
So I write only instrumentals now, although I threaten myself every once in a while I'm going to sing. Not that I'm a bad singer, but I'm not a rock singer. I'm a blues guy, you know. And that's what I do now. So the music you're going to hear is it's all me. So it's like I say, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it's all my fault.
Gotcha. So now, if you don't mind me asking, what do you record on? What software are you using?
I use I gotta forget what it's called now. Hold on. Isn't that terrible? Waveform.
Okay.
It's not a very well-known one, but I really like it. I had access to some of the people like Ableton and some of that stuff. But this seemed to fit my need to be able to bring the VSTs in. There was no limit on the tracks.
Right.
They keep updating it, and not a lot of people use it, but I love it, you know. And that's really what you got to like if you like what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's not using Pro Tools or Logic. You know, you go with what
Yeah.
works for you. So
Yep.
yeah, I get with that. Okay. So you wrote a song called Timelines.
Right.
Tell us how you wrote that. What were you thinking about when you wrote that?
You know, the songs I write now usually come off me playing a little lick on my guitar, or I'll sit down at my keyboard and start messing around with something. And I believe that song came from me coming up with a riff on the keyboard. And the way I do things is I come up with the whole song, finish it out, and then I start layering it. So I may, and most of the time it's going to be guitar because that's what I play mostly. So I figure out the beats per minute that I want it to be, put the click track in or drum track in, and then I start picking. So that song, I may have changed the title, and I look. It's really kind of funny too. I actually looked for. I'll ask, give me some ideas for a song about rain, and then I'll kind of write a song around rain or something like that. So that one really came to me. It's one of my favorite tunes. And then the idea of timelines, it's really a song about, if you watch the video's out there too, about the moment you're born into the moment you die. And that's why it's called Timelines.
Right.
So it's got all that in there, and as far as the video goes, and that's how I write. I don't know how many tracks it has, and now I've gotten so good at I write, and I might work on something for days. Then I listen to it at night, always looking for mistakes. What can I do to change it? What can I do here? My story is always the same. I was recording a few years ago with a friend of mine, an amateur drummer, and I told him, I said, now here's what's going to happen. You're going to put the drum tracks down on this tune for me, And 6 months later, years later, you're going to hear it on Spotify and you're going to say to yourself, I could have done better. Oh, I should have changed this around.
That always happens like that.
And I said, you have to eventually give it up because you'll keep messing with it forever. And it was funny, about a year later, he called me, he says, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, what's that? I'm out mowing my yard, I'm listening to our song. I go, I should have changed the drums on that. I said, so, so I work on them for days, finally get what I want, and that's it. You know, and the funny thing about it is when I write a song like Timelines, I add stuff that comes to me at the moment. You know, I might say, oh, you know, I need a cello over here, or I need more bass here, or something like that. And if you were to ask me to play that live, I'd go, I don't remember how to play it live now. I mean, because I could learn how, but I want to make sure the product I give sitting here is as good or as close as a professional studio you can get without going to professional studio. That's my goal all the time. And I know music is subjective, and
Yes.
my philosophy is always the same. My albums come out, I usually have 10 songs on it. If you like one, I'm happy as it can be. If you like two, I'm ecstatic.
Yes.
You know, I don't expect everybody to go, you're not the Beatles, Rick. So I, or you too. So it's not, I don't expect you to go, I loved every one of your songs. So
That-
that's kind of the way I write. And people listen to my music now. If you heard my music before, which is more hard-edged rock, you know, distortion, blues stuff, they kind of go, that's you? And I go, yeah, I kind of moved away from the other. And I love it because the fact is, there is no, the palette is big. In other words, I could do whatever I want. And I might write 20 songs for an album and then 10 of them go away. Because I think a lot of people, they'll write a song and do it and go, oh my goodness, that sounds great. And then 2 days later, listen to it, nah, I can do better than that.
Right. Yeah, we all do that. Okay. So timelines. Let's check that out. We're gonna listen to that.
All right.
Check that out. Okay. Let's see, where are we? Beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful video. Uh, yeah, it's it's perfect. Timelines. Um,
And that riff is where the whole thing came built from. That da 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 da. That's where the whole song came out of.
got you. Okay.
And I don't read music. I can, but uh, I'm not very good at it. So I know how a song is composed.
Hmm.
And like in that song, I thought, okay, the idea of the video came after I did the song,
Okay.
and that's where that came from. So, and I got a little bit of everything I wanted to get in there. I even got my lead guitar part in there and different
Yeah, I
sounds and all
heard
that
that.
stuff.
I heard that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good,
So,
good, good. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
thank you.
All right. So you got another one for me. This one is entitled "A Thousand Dreams Away." Um, that's interesting. Tell us about that.
I try to remember if I had the riff on that first, and I kind of go through a concept phase when I write a song, and I'll sit down and get something that I like, and then try to build on it, and then because there's so many things, as you know this, Mark, there's so many different types of pianos and organs and synthesizers that we can get access to, that I'll try to come up with something that, and that's kind of the way this one went.
Okay.
And there's actually two parts to this. I wrote the first part, which is the beginning, and then there's a second part to it because I needed a bridge. You got to have a bridge in there, and you had to have change in there.
Hmm.
And I added that in there, and with the symphony orchestra, so to speak. I don't have one in my backyard, but I wish I did. So, um, and then when I finished it, I thought, okay, what is the concept for the video? And I just found that it was more of a dreamy concept, that everybody goes, where did this woman come from? And I said, well, she came in, it was used, you're supposed to be dreaming, and sometimes our dreams are they're 1,000 years away. Sometimes, we think so, but and it all came together at the end that I wanted the message was to be, enjoy yourself when you're when you're dreaming, and that's kind of where that all came from.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, let's check that out too. A Thousand Dreams Away. Nice. Okay, let's check it out.
So the end of that is why I feel now when I get up in the morning. I wake up, I go, I just go back to sleep. So, and I do have a tendency, and some of my songs have a little Middle Eastern flair to them. That one has a little bit of that in there, and I like that. And it's you know I think as a songwriter, you kind of know when it's good or not. I'm not I'm not a firm believer that everything I write's great or good. That's why you have to
But
do a lot. You have to do a lot before you get to the one that you go like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I think we all go through that. Absolutely.
yes,
But you got some good stuff here, man. Wonderful material. You're very talented, and I encourage you to
thank you.
keep pushing, man. Keep doing your thing. So before you go, please let us know where we can find your music. I know you have a website and
Yep.
all that stuff. Give us all that information. Your website.
So, if you want to go find everything about me, because I have my own podcast, YouTube, you go to thetroutshow.com. That's what you do. Everything's there, the links to the music, everything there. If you want to find me on YouTube, it's The Trout, and I'll just tell the quick story behind that. When I started bringing music out, I was under my name, but unfortunately, somebody else had already taken that name.
Ah.
I thought, oh, why is somebody else named Rick Troutman? So my first three albums where I sang on was my full name, which nobody could ever remember, even though. And I decided a couple years ago that I was going to change it just to The Trout because I got all these names when I was a kid.
Right.
Hey Fish Man,
No.
Bass Boy. So the best story I can tell you about that one is interviewing Walter Trout, the famous blues guy. He says, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I'm interviewing by a guy by the name of Troutman on a trout show, and my name's Trout. And I go, yeah, I works doesn't it? So if they want to find me on Spotify or YouTube, whatever you listen to, you can look at the Trout. You'll probably end up finding pictures of people fishing too, but that's where all of it is. But the best place is to get thetroutshow.com. My Instagram site is Texas Rocker because I am a Texas guy. That's what I use most of the thing for. I do have YouTube, Facebook and all that, but that's another place that can find me. So that's the best places right there.
Okay, cool. That's wonderful, man. We want everybody to go out. Please support Mr. Rick Troutman. Go to his website, download his music. He's got some wonderful stuff, some wonderful material there. Look him up on Facebook. Whatever you do, wherever you find him, encourage him. That's what this platform is about. We want to encourage all of our artists that are putting out wonderful music. All right? So, Mr. Rick Troutman, all the way from Dallas, Texas, y'all. Look him up, man. He's doing his thing out there. He's representing Texas real nicely. Rick, thank you for coming by, man. You got to come back again. When you get some music, more music out, man, come back and see me.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing for other musicians and what you did for me. Have a great day. Thanks so much. Take care. See you. Bye-bye.
We'll talk soon. God bless. That's Mr. Rick Troutman, y'all. A wonderful gentleman. We talked about an hour before we even aired. He's great to talk to, great guy to talk to. And I always enjoy talking to people a little older than me. You learn so much. Sometimes you have to learn how to listen. Take it in. Learn from someone else's experiences. He's got a lot of experiences, and he's been out there a long time. So I appreciate this guy talking to me, Mr. Rick Troutman. I appreciate his time. And there's so many wonderful people out there who are so talented. So with that said, if you're one of those people, if you have music that you would like for us to listen to, and you would like to come on the show and talk about it, we'll play it, share it, please send your material to playmymusic711@gmail.com. That's playmymusic711@gmail.com. All right. It's another show, y'all. God bless you. We're out.